Okay, hi there everyone. So my name is Máire Ní G. I'm the founder of Feminine Sexual Alchemy, and I have just opened up my Feminine Alchemy Teacher Training. And I wanted to invite Marta to come and join me today. And Marta is based in Portugal. She is a space holder. She teaches and holds space around practices such as Qigong, Yin Yoga, somatics, and also circle work as well. And she's an incredibly talented person. And I've known Marta for many years. She's been a student of mine and also a sister on the path of the Tao. She has a great interest and passion for everything to do with Daoism. And I know Marta since I released all the information, since I announced the teacher training, we've been over and back with each other, sending voice notes. And actually, one of the first voice notes you sent me, I was in tears listening to. You said, "This is the teacher training I've been waiting for my whole life." And I've been really, I felt really moved by tears by that. And so I just wanted to invite you, and we just thought we'd have a little conversation around the teacher training and for people to understand a little bit more about it. So yeah, you're very welcome to be here.
I'm so excited, and it was such a nice idea to just bring our conversation from our WhatsApp group, our WhatsApp chat to, the world, because it's needed to it's important for people to actually understand what this is and why are we both of us so excited about this, having back and forth conversations and gifs and memes and things like that. It just brings excitement into our lives and conversations. I'm really excited to ask you a few questions that I had for myself, and that may help other women who are on the fence, or who are, maybe already in the path like I am as well, but they just want something else, something with a different depth, more nuanced. So I have a few questions for you, if you're okay with that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, let's start.
Yes, I think first of all, the most important thing to feel here is what actually inspired you to create the Feminine Alchemy Teacher Training.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess for me, actually, I mean, I just heard from so many people, I wish I'd known about this sooner, okay? About these practices. I hear this time and time again from women, and about just how simple the practices are. Like some of the practices can take 3 minutes and they make a huge difference to your life. One classic example of that is the breast massage practice. And I've had so many women who've done breast massage practice with me. And, within a few weeks, they're having profound changes in their periods, their PMS, the amount of pain they're experiencing, reduction in like perimenopause symptoms. Women who've just learned how to do the inner smile meditation and they're like, I've just quit smoking, finally can feel like they really love themselves, have improved like their body image. And I hear all the time, I wish I'd heard this and learned this sooner. And I think for me, I kept getting emails as well, like people emailing me saying, I'd really love to learn what you teach. Do you offer trainings? And, that sometimes happen where you're getting like this knock on the door. I really just felt, okay, I really want to bring this out into the world. What I've done is I've created a training that I wish I had received, and that's really woven from the spirit of the Tao, science, somatics, and shamanism. So bringing together as well a lot of the training that I've done, not just the Daoist training, but all of the extra training that I've done in my background, and weave it all together. So that this is really just a course that's not just about like information, but that it's actually about an embodied lineage, and I think that's something that's been really important to me. That's kind of how it came about, I would say.
I feel that, and I can absolutely attest to the truth of what you said, like with the inner smile, especially, and the breast massage. I say it's true for me.
Mhm.
And so why now? Like, was there a moment when you realized this work really needed to be shared more widely?
Um, yeah, so I mean, I guess for me as well, I kept seeing like a pattern coming up. So, for example, a lot of my students would be like yoga teachers, maybe therapists or coaches or clinicians working with other people. And one thing that kept being mentioned as well was just about how embodied this work is, you know. And I think when you start to go into like the viscera of your body, where you're meditating with the pericardium, like the protective membrane around your heart, when you're right in your liver and your gallbladder, that's a different level of practice that you've gotten to. And so what I found is that people saying, having done many different trainings, and I find that a lot of the women who come to this practice, they've already done quite a bit. And they were really saying to me, wow, this is so embodied. I've never gone this deep before. And so that was one of the reasons what I felt like sometimes maybe there can be something missing a little bit in terms of like trainings and embodiment. I wanted this to be something that's like fully embodied, and that it's not, yeah, that you have this very personal change, this very big, deep transformation yourself. And so that was one of the things that's been really guiding me to bring this out into the world, and knowing that I want something that brings the wisdom of the Tao, feminine embodiment, cyclical rhythms as well, brings all of that together. And yeah, now felt like the right time. And part of that is as well what we see in the kind of geopolitical crisis that's happening across the world as well. And that can bring a lot of fear to people. And we're really being called into feminine leadership, first of all. We're being called into like a deep sense of inner stability where we find our own grounding. And there's a real resourcefulness that comes through the Tao as well. It's a path of self-mastery. It's really a path of sovereignty as well. And so to step into that path as much as you can. And also to really champion women's health. That's what this training is about as well. And there's huge gaps when we look at the health gap. There are huge gaps there for women, the impact of like underfunded research. And there's something like 4 times as much money spent on male pattern baldness than there is on endometriosis, which impacts significantly on women's quality of life, everything, like their health, their hormones, and yeah, there's just so much underfunding in terms of like women's health. And so really the thing is that like, let's take this back. Let's take agency. Let's feel empowered. Let's feel in control of our own health. And not rely. Let's not outsource this to other people. So that's really what it's been about as well, is to really champion women's health as much as possible.
For sure. And there is something quite special, isn't it, when you are actually smiling into your organs and having a conversation with your body, right? And yeah, so, and what makes this training different from other trainings out there? There are so many. We live in a moment in time where there are really a lot of them. So what is the spirit of this one? What makes it special and different?
Yeah, well, I guess first of all, you know, the Tao recognizes our health as being something that's very multidimensional. Okay, so we look at the physical health, our emotional, our energetic, sexual, or spiritual selves. And that's one thing that I've really loved about Tao, is that appreciation of all those pieces coming together. And I always say it's like a puzzle. And when you bring in the Tao, it's like everything kind of slots into place. And no stone is left unturned, you know? And so, and I know sometimes for people that can be maybe, you know, it can be almost a little bit taboo. Like, so for example, in the classes that I teach, it's like, you know, we massage our breasts, we're working with the pelvic floor, we even sometimes work with the sphincter of the anus. You know, we talk about all of these practices in relation to our libido, to relation to sexuality as well, is very much framed within that, because we don't put that to one side. A lot of times, and this is the world that we grew up in, there's so much shame around sexuality, or it's not talked about. And that has a very significant impact on women's health, particularly when we look at things even like periods, where sometimes women won't share that, or there's not, good health legislation in place to protect women, I saw recently that there was been some legislation coming in around workplaces that women with endometriosis can get paid time off. I mean, finally, it's such a debilitating condition that, of course, they deserve that, to get that time. And so the less that we stay in the shadows with everything to do with women's health, the worse off we are. So this is what this space is about really opening that up and having the conversations that maybe you don't necessarily have with other people, other folks, and then being able to weave that into the practices and to be able to offer that to other women, that yes, we can talk about these things. Yes, there's support there. And most importantly as well, there's practices here that you can use that are going to completely transform that. You don't have to suffer. There's like some simple things that you can do that really can make a difference, and so it's that multi-dimensional approach to health that's really important. And then within Daoism itself, I guess like Daoism has kind of had many branches, and it's gone in different directions. So we have like Daoist philosophy, or there can be more like stuff around like martial arts or Daoist healing. And really what I'm doing is I'm weaving back together all of these branches, rather than them being separated. I'm weaving those all back together so that you have something that's very complete, that includes stuff around like Daoist philosophy, that we can look to the wisdom of nature and its very shamanic origins. And I, would have done a lot of training in Celtic shamanic practices, and practice that. So bringing that back in, and the Tao has a very solid foundation in shamanism as well. It's really the origins of it. And actually, it was one of the reasons that I jumped over to Daoism, was that I knew it has this shamanic origin, and that we can really come into a place of healing ourselves. We'll have like some shamanic healing journeys to the spirit animals of the organs, and to meet that. And this is one of the things that really expands our cosmovision, that we are aware that it's not just us, that we don't just have to rely on ourselves, but that we also can have this spiritual support of these, spirit animals, these guides, and that there's this, we can tap into this very expansive place of wisdom. There's so much there for us to be able to connect in with. And sometimes we're like afraid, or maybe that sounds too woo-woo, or it might sound too abstract. And so this is really going to help you to own that, to have a very felt sense of that in your body, and to work with that wisdom. So it's going to bring in some nice healing elements as well. And of course, there's 8 modules. It's over 9 months, the program. And there's 8 modules, and it's very kind of this multi-sensory learning. And I think what's different about that as well is that we'll go kind of through the seasons and the elements, and be able to, understand that in a very kinesthetic way. So really understand it. I want you to, I want women to come away from this being like, I know this in my bones. Like, it's not just information. This is not just information. This is lived experience, that you're going to be working with this on many, many different levels. This isn't going to be just a lot of PowerPoints, or even videos, but it's where you'll be encouraged to think about this, to make sense of it in your own world, to have conversations, to journal on it, to do the practices as well in ways that help you to really understand it right into the bones of your body, and that you have a huge transformation as you come through the program, that it's not just about getting like a certificate or doing that. It's not a tick box thing where at the end you're like, oh, I can teach this, but it's like, to really master it, so that when you are teaching, that it's just coming from this very embodied place. And that's something that's really important to me, that that anyone who goes through this training, that they really embody the practices. Yeah. So, and actually part of the training of how to set this up was I've added in this 100-day challenge, the alchemy challenge. And I think this is one of the things that's going to really help with the transformation, is that we kind of commit to, and it's just one practice, whether that's 5 minutes or whether that's 20 minutes. It's just one practice, or it can be a mix. It could be 20 minutes one day, and then another day you just have 2 minutes, and that you just even do it for 2 minutes. That's kind of really important to say, to make it really manageable. And this comes up in the old Daoist classics. They talk about this, about the 100 days of practice. So this is coming from a very rooted place in the lineage, to do this 100 days of practice, and it's to really alchemize your own shadows. And this is like such an effective way to learn and embody the practice. So that's going to be like one of the highlights of the training for sure.
And I love that. It sounds super exciting. And as we are already on the subject of the structure of it and how it's, designed, I would love to hear more about, the blend of live sessions, online modules, the in-person retreat, the residential at the end.
Yeah, sure, Marta. So we have, there's 9 modules. There's 8 modules over 9 months. And then, so it starts in October, and then it runs all the way until June. And so in May, we're going to have like a 1-week residential. So before that, we're going to meet online. So it's once a month for a half day. And we'll be journeying through the 5 elements. Like I said, we're going to have a shamanic healing journey. We'll also have some guest teachers as well. We're going to be looking at Daoist inner alchemy astrology. We will also have, and that's going to be with Gillian Reid. And we'll also be looking at things like how to integrate this, like looking at the Daoist clock, looking at the kind of the cosmic cycles as well, like how we can integrate this on a daily level, on like a seasonal level as well, working with the 5 elements. We'll also have a guest teacher. We'll have Yasha, who's going to do some voice work to really help you free up your own voice and to find that within yourself, to be able to express and share that with other folks as well. And then we'll be looking at things like the meridians. We'll also have some neuroscience around like polyvagal theory. This is also very much trauma informed. And that would be from, a lot of the studies that I've done on like polyvagal theory, understanding the nervous system. And that's also like a really important aspect of it as well, particularly when we talk about women's health. And because, for most women, they've experienced some level of trauma in whatever capacity, and we need to be aware of that and to be able to hold space in that as well. And it's, I guess, one of the things is that I talk about being multisensory, and that's the occupational therapist in me. That's my background. And I would have set up clinics and had my own private clinic working around learning difficulties. And so whether that's, if people have difficulty maybe in concentrating, or, maybe sensory challenges, if people have, challenges with maybe dyslexia or taking in information, whatever that may be. And I guess we all have a certain element of that based on the world we live in with tech and screens. It's impacting on all of us in terms of our concentration, being distracted. And I do a lot of research as well on kind of best practices in terms of staying focused or developing routines, all of these kind of things that can really support you to go through the program. And so, yeah, I think that's something that's also going to really help, is to have that kind of level of support in there. And then it's the idea of it being something that's very multi-sensory as well. So you can have like audio, there will be visual, there will be, like I said, discussion groups and the peer groups as well. There'll be some individual work, group work. Some people work better when they're in groups and have to show up live. There'll be some self-study practices as well, some journaling. So yeah, there's a lot of different practices that are going to be there, and modalities of ways that you can kind of learn in a more unique way, so that it's not just, yeah, you're not just having information being sent to you, that you're really integrating it and learning that as well.
So you already went ahead into my next question, but if you want to add anything else, it's more about, supporting different kinds of learners. If you want to add something into that, because you were mentioning, that you have that background, you have that concern with how you structured everything. Do you want to add anything else into that?
Yeah, sure. Well, I guess for me as well, I think what's really important is that I want to make sure that nobody's left behind. Okay, that and I know that stuff happens. I know that life happens. You can sign up for a program and life sometimes happens, or, there can be just these natural dips in momentum as well. And I really plan for that, to help, kind of boost that as well. And I, as part of that, making sure that everybody gets as much support as possible. I do two one-to-one sessions during the program. So in the first trimester, and then in the second trimester, and then in the third trimester, I'll see you in person at the residential. Okay. And so that's important, that I know you, that I know how you're getting on. If there's any challenges that you're having, that I'm able to offer you that very direct support, and make sure that I want you to get the most out of this, that you feel like you're getting your value for money, that you feel that you are getting the transformation that you want, that you're going to feel as confident as you need to be able to share these practices with others, at the end of 9 months. And so, yeah, so that's very much built into the program. And the residential is going to be so amazing, because we get a chance to meet in person, spend a week together as a community, so that we are living the Dao together in community. And of course, in that time, there's a lot of very kind of personal feedback. At this point, we'll be doing a lot of teaching practice together. There'll be a lot of personal feedback from me also within the group as well, which is really supportive to get that from your peers. And then also, of course, you'll get some hands-on kind of adjustments for more of the Qigong practices, and things like that as well. So I think that's really important to mention that, and that it's in the beautiful Mallorca. It's such a beautiful island here in Mallorca, and we have a beautiful villa which is right beside the sea. And I know that that's going to be just such a special experience, to be all together and going deep into the practices, and really weaving a web together. I think that's really important as well, that we're weaving a web together.
That this is being a woven in with the questions, because I was going to ask you now about the importance and the role of sisterhood and community. That is, it feels very intentional within the structure and what you offer with this training. Would you like to share a little bit more?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it is really intentional, everything behind this. I mean, like I say, I've been dreaming of this teacher training for so many years. And I love pedagogy as well. I love to create and to curate a journey as well. That's something that brings me a lot of joy as well. Yeah. And something with so much depth. I always say I have Scorpio on my chart. So I love depth, to go so deep into something. And so, yeah, the sisterhood, the community is really important. This isn't a solo journey. It is very much a shared journey. And so we'll have a private community space that we can connect with all together throughout the program, where you can inspire each other, support each other, that there's a movement, there's a momentum that happens. It's not like a self-paced program. It's like this is something that's very live, and we're moving through this together, and the group is changing. There's transformations. We're impacting on each other as we go through the program. And like I said, you'll also have some peer support groups, and then we'll have that really special shared experience, that 1 week residency together in Mallorca as well. So I think the group is really important. Yeah. And there's something special. I know anytime I've done trainings, there's something special about the cohort. There's something special about the group that comes together, and sometimes who you're paired with, and who you connect with, or who you're sharing a room with, or whatever else. It always feels serendipitous, that something deeper is at play there. And I truly believe that. And I know when women come together that magic happens. I really know that in my heart. So, yeah.
I absolutely agree with that. And I'm curious to hear your voice on this, on how do you dream or envision this work going out into the world through these students, through these women journeying together, because it will be such a transformational experience, an embodied experience. So how does that, feel for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, these practices, they're just so transformational, and I think I really see this as making serious impact when it comes to women's health and vitality, eliminating shame around topics that women have been afraid to speak about, whether that's in relation to our own health, whether it's pelvic floor health, whether it's, endometriosis, or having pain with your periods, or PMS, or, hot flushes during perimenopause, or whether it's, the paranoia or the psychological symptoms that come with perimenopause that aren't often talked about. I think the hot flushes is the easy one to talk about, but to talk about the emotional impact of that, or postmenopause. So this is really about creating quite systemic change, I would say, for women and women's health. And that comes through all of those foundational practices that we'll be learning. So through Qigong, through the Daoist meditations, where we focus on the organs, the inner smile, the 6 healing sounds, the Qi self-massage practices that we'll be learning as well, through the shamanic healing journey work as well. Breast massage is another practice that you'll come away being able to teach. And so I see that having this very far-reaching impact. And I know some women will do this training for themselves, actually, first of all, that they want to just deepen into it, and understand more about themselves, and maybe be able to share it a little bit, maybe with their friends and family. We'll have some who come and want to integrate it to the work that they're already doing. So whether that's, therapy work, coaching, maybe they're already teaching or space holding and want to add in another layer. And the Dao is very complementary to that. And of course, there'll be some as well who, who want to, like, maybe run their own women's circles, or teach Qigong classes in their communities, and so on. So I really feel that this will go so far. And again, just that piece that's so important is that you come away like with it embodied, and that it's not just this top layer kind of surface level learning, but that it's in you, and that it's coming from the inside out as you offer that out to the world. I think that's something that's really important. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And this ties up with my next question, which would be actually like what kind of transformation are you expecting to actually see in people at the end of the 9 months? Because it's exactly what you have been referring to. It's not only an embodied journey, it's within community, within sisterhood, but then the practices are so transformational and yet so simple, deceptively simple, I would say. It's like because they are so profound. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. They are so profound. I mean, I wonder, I really do. I just know from even in the membership that I have in Elixir and through my FSA program, the Feminine Sexual Alchemy program, I see so many women, even within weeks, go through very profound shifts and transformations, you know, and like even recently, actually, we were focusing on one of the elements, the wood element, which is in the spring. We use a lot of work. We do a lot of work with the vision, which is, we call it like a cosmic vision qigong. And so the liver opens up to the eyes. And I know one of the women in Elixir had sent me a message going, hey, is there any chance that this could actually improve my eyesight? We've just been doing this for like 3 weeks at this stage. And she was like, you know what? I actually just went for an eye test and my eyesight has improved significantly. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's just incredible. Like some of the things that people come to me, I'm constantly surprised about the changes that women have as they go through this. Just even going through like the classes in Elixir and also in the FSA program. So, and I know this is going to be even deeper because we're really, really calling in the spirit of the Tao for this as well. And I know that this will go even deeper. So I honestly can't wait to see what changes and transformation happens for women as they go through this. And I think for me, that's a really important part of any training, is that you as a person experience that training, because then you're in a much better place to be able to share that with other people when you've experienced changes yourself. Otherwise, it's just from here, you know, it's just in the head. It's information. It's not this living lineage. It's not embodied wisdom. And so that's really that's a core competency, is that it is embodied. It's embodied lineage for you. So, and I know when people take that step, that yeah, there will be big changes for sure. So you'll have to watch this space. I'll have to keep you updated.
I'm also laughing because I had the same experience with the eyes. Last summer I went to an eye doctor appointment, and he was like, "What have you been doing?" And be mindful that I have been practicing qigong for more than 10 years, and you know. But he was like, "But what has been happening?" And the only difference is that I have been deepening into the Daoist practices. So not just the qigong, but other practices. And with that, I also would like to ask you, I'm very curious, and in specifically you mentioned cosmic vision qigong, and within, because it's a personal love of mine, the qigong part of the training as well, although it's so much bigger than just a qigong practice. But I'm curious to, you know, also hear you a little bit more specifically about the qigong part of it, which how it's woven into there, like its specific sequences, specific focuses, or just a more general approach to it.
Yeah, so we will be doing, along with the Daoist meditations of the Qigong, of the inner smile and the 6 healing sounds, we'll also be focusing on Qigong, and we'll be moving kind of element by element. So in a way similar to the format that we have in Elixir, where we're moving kind of element by element through the practices. And so we'll be looking at, for example, like the principles of Qigong, and understanding that, even doing like including a lot of breath work. And there will be like some sequences and stuff that really supports female bodies and vulva owners. And so we'll be going, quite deep into that actually, and getting a real feel for the groundedness, the earthiness that can bring as well. And as well as that, we'll also have like quite a bit of philosophy built into that as well, like looking at the Wu Qi, the yin and yang, the three treasures, and then of course like the 5 elements as well. So it'll be, and I think when you have the philosophy, and you mix that then with the Qigong, it feels more complete. You know, when you have that, you can understand this idea of like stillness and movement, you know, and understanding how they work, of having structure but also flow. You know, those are very much the principles of yin and yang. So I'll be able to help you to kind of match those together as well, so that it's all kind of interwoven into one. And just to say that this training is this is the inner alchemy training, yeah, and this is the foundations of the Tao. And we're going to include like breast massage in there, which is a really important practice for women, just because that's such a foundational practice for women's health. But later in the future, we'll have more of a training that's focused on the sexual alchemy. That's sometimes a question people have, where we're teaching more like around the jade egg and ovarian breathing, all of those kinds of practices. But I know these practices, what's in this training, is something I taught myself for 8 years before I went on to start teaching the sexual alchemy practices. There's so much in this that you'll be able to share with women. So yeah, just to mention that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I absolutely agree. And I'm curious to hear your opinion and your voice on this, like the benefits of doing this training, even if you don't plan to teach right away or at all, but just doing the journey because of the joy of doing the journey, you know.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think it's a really valid way to go through the training. And I mean, that's also completely welcome as well, to have, you know, to go through it in that way, is to jump into it and just do it for yourself. Absolutely. That's really, really important. Yeah. Yeah.
And what if someone is on the fence? What would you tell them?
I would say, if you're on the fence, set up a connection call with me. Yeah. And then just ask whatever questions you have. Get a feel for if you have some clarifying questions around the training. If you have some doubts, share them with me. You know, maybe I will probably have more information about the program that I can share with you that can maybe help you to make a decision. And yeah, take it from there.
And yeah, my last question can go either way, either very specific in practicality or very conceptual, which is, what's your vision for the future of this work and of feminine leadership more broadly?
Yeah, well, we definitely need to have more feminine leadership, for sure. I definitely believe that we need more feminine leadership in the world. And the future of this work is to get it to as many women as possible, you know, to as many women, to as many vulva owners as possible, that we take agency over our own health, that we're able to step into our own vitality, close the health gap, be able to talk about, you know, health issues that are really important to women, that there's no taboos around this, whatever that is. Yeah, that's my future of it, that it goes really deep and really far into the world, you know. And what I hear is so many times people saying, I wish I'd heard this sooner. All women need to know this. Why weren't we taught this when we were in school? Why has my doctor never said this to me? I hear these statements all the time. And I'd like there to be a reduction in that there's less people feeling that they've been gaslit through, you know, the medical system, less people feeling like, you know, they just don't know what to do, how to help themselves, basically. So really to help other women come into a place of empowerment around their health and their vitality.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I've heard exactly the same things many, many times. And it's beautiful that instead of being disheartened by it, it just reinforces the purpose and the putting out of this work and just, offering it. Even if for yourself, as you were mentioning, even if you don't want to teach, just do it for yourself, and then maybe your daughters, your mothers, your sisters will see you and want to do it as well. And I feel that's the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's it, actually, when we do become like these role models for the people around us as well. I remember actually ages ago, I'd put up like a post on like a reel on Instagram where I was just like in a forest and I just did like 2 minutes of Qigong. And one woman messaged me. She was like, "Oh my God!" Like, I think she was in one of my classes, and she was saying, "You know what? I used to sometimes think that I didn't have time for qigong, and then I just saw you under a tree for 2 minutes doing some qigong, like some shaking, I think." And she was like, "I can do that." And she said she was staying at a hotel. She was away with her sister, and normally she wouldn't actually take time away. And she just said, "You know what? I'm just going to pop over to that tree." And she just did 2 minutes of her qigong practice. And that's what it's about. It's just about taking like little moments in your day and being able to bring more vitality. So rather than we're constantly being drained by the world. And so instead of just being drained all the time, that we actually are able to renew ourselves and restore our energy. And that's really part of it as well, is that we have very practical ways of helping ourselves and being able to share that with others as well.
Absolutely. And just I know I already have asked so many things, but I just wanted to share that actually with the breast massage that you have been mentioning, it's such a pivotal practice within that, we're going to learn and everything, but it makes such a big difference, and you can do it in the shower. It just takes 2 minutes. And I once was told, there is this statistics that shows that women that have a partner, they have less, I believe it was something like breast cancer is easily found out about because they get their breasts touched more. And I was left wondering, well, that's lovely, but why are we not touching our own breasts? They are our breasts. We should be touching them anyway, every day. It's beautiful to move the fascia of the breast, connect with the heart space. It's so pleasant. So why are we not doing that? And I love that this is one of the foundational practices that you're going to share, because it's so easy to do. And it can be emotional, but it's so easy to do, right? In the shower every day.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's it. The amount of people who come to this and they're like, "Oh my God, I never even thought of touching my own breasts," and it's like, oh my gosh, it makes such a huge difference, for breast health. And of course, I mean, also for everything related to that impacts on your hormones. So whether that's your periods, whether that's perimenopause and menopause and postmenopause, whether that's fertility during pregnancy, for women who are breastfeeding as well. And it's just such an important part of our health. It's actually in terms of like the statistics, this is like such a vital part of women's health. And there isn't really been offered any sort of, guidelines on how to care for your breasts. It's all reactive. It's all, if there's a problem, these are the treatments or these are the things that you need to do. So it's really important that we have practices that are in touch, exactly that, by being in touch with your breasts, that you're also able to detect if there's any changes. So, and yeah, the amount of women who've completely transformed their periods through this work, and libido, we should also say as well, a great side effect of breast massage is the libido boost that you get as well. So yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much. It sounds beautiful. It sounds exciting. It sounds expansive. I love it. Thank you so much for answering my relentless questions.
No, that's all good. It is really expansive. Like it's such it's just this really wide, expansive worldview that you're going to have as well, of your own view of yourself, but also a worldview as well, which is pretty nice.